What if I told you that life keeps score even when you stay silent, that every stone thrown in your path is secretly tracked by something far greater than revenge, something ancient, precise, and inescapable? That's the law of cosmic balance. See, the universe may not speak out loud, but it never forgets. Those who tried to break you with gossip, manipulation, or silent sabotage didn't realize when you plant betrayal, you harvest exposure. The thrones they built out of lies, they're already crumbling, and the dust tastes like regret. To those critics lurking in the dark, hoping your light would dim, here's the irony. The very attempts to stop you are the same ones that pushed you higher. You became the windstorm they didn't prepare for. You walked through their traps and turned every pit into a platform. Their whispers were never strong enough to override your frequency, because chosen ones don't just survive sabotage, they thrive because of it. Let me remind you, the universe doesn't punish in noise. It returns in silence, through loss, through isolation, through identity collapse. And every time they played dirty to watch you fall, they unknowingly signed themselves up for a front row seat to your rise. This isn't luck, it's alignment, and every moment of stillness you chose was preparation, not just to heal, but to dominate. Because when you're chosen, your presence alone is unsettling. Your energy reveals what others hide. And that, my friend, is the kind of power that haunts your enemies long after you're gone. If you feel that power in your bones right now, like this video and subscribe to the channel, because this space is for those who no longer question their worth. It's for those who understand. You weren't sent here to please the crowd. You were sent to awaken the room. If this message is piercing straight through your silence, it's because you're not just anybody, you're chosen. What's happening around you isn't random, it's precise. And only those marked by purpose can even begin to grasp it. Stay with me until the end, because what's unfolding next, only a chosen one like you is built to understand it, and rise because of it. Number 1. Stop mistaking their discomfort for your fault. Your unshakable presence exposes what they've buried. You carry something they can't decode, a pulse that doesn't match their system, a rhythm they can't rehearse. It's not just your confidence, it's not just your calm, it's your frequency. And that frequency doesn't just speak, it confronts. You don't even have to say a word. Your presence alone interrupts illusions people spent years building. You walk into a room and lies start to tremble. Masks start to slip. Pretenders feel exposed. They laugh louder to hide the shake in their voice, shift in their seats to escape the spotlight your energy creates. And the craziest part, you're not even trying, you're just being, and that haunts them. You were never meant to blend in. You were wired to wake things up. But here's what they didn't factor in when they targeted you. This world has a way of folding in on itself when it tries to silence the wrong soul. The law of return is precise. It's not loud. It doesn't announce its entry. It just arrives and collects. Every lie spoken on your name, logged. Every shady move cloaked as concern, tracked. Every fake smile hiding a dagger, time-stamped. And the payback? It doesn't come when you're still bleeding. It comes when you're glowing, when you've already moved on, when the fire they lit starts dancing in their direction. If you've been overlooked, talked about, excluded or misunderstood by those who swore they had your back, don't second-guess it. Don't shrink. That wasn't weakness you felt. That was wisdom forcing you to stop explaining yourself to people who don't deserve access to your depth. You are not their echo. You are the original vibration. That's why their projections never stick. That's why they twist your silence, invent motives and paint stories you never authored. Because the truth is, you scare them. Not because you're aggressive, but because you're aligned. Not because you're perfect, but because you're protected. And now the return is underway. The illusions they built around your name are cracking. Their confidence was borrowed, and the invoice is due. Let them keep pretending your story's over. Let them fake celebrate. Let them cling to roles they no longer fit. Because this isn't just a reset. This is a reckoning. And Chosen One, when it hits, you won't even need to say, "I told you so." Your survival is already the loudest statement. And your silence, that's the thunder they never prepared for. Number 2. Don't curse the chaos. Every battle you faced was proof that power can't be duplicated. Chosen One, they watched your life unravel and assumed you were losing. They saw the chaos, the setbacks, the betrayal, the quiet nights you barely survived, and whispered, "See? They're done." But here's what they'll never understand, that chaos wasn't a collapse. It was a code, a sacred blueprint written in pain, marked by fire, and sealed by survival. You weren't being destroyed. You were being distilled down to your purest frequency, the part of you that can't be replicated, bought, or borrowed. While they chased shortcuts and copied personas, you went through battles that rewired your spirit. You bled for your peace. You lost for your wisdom. You endured for your power. That's why no imitation can stand in your lane, because nobody paid your price. They mimic your energy but can't handle your evolution. They wear the look but can't carry the weight. You walk with a depth forged in darkness, and that's what makes you untouchable. So no, don't curse what hurt you. Don't regret the nights you were broken open. That chaos made you rare, and rare can't be mass-produced. Let them keep wondering how you keep rising with less. It's because your foundation was built in storms, and storms don't scare you anymore. They respect you. You were never meant to blend in. You were born to be a frequency that breaks every room pretending to be whole. That's why you were chosen, and that's why they'll never match your stride, because the power in you wasn't handed over, it was earned. Number 3. Resist the urge to react. Your silence is the loudest shift they'll never recover from. They wanted you loud. They wanted a reaction they could twist, a breakdown they could replay, a meltdown to feed their stories. But what they got instead? Silence. Not weakness, not surrender. Strategy. And that silence. It wasn't empty. It was loaded, charged, timed like lightning that strikes without warning and levels everything in its path. Chosen One, your silence was never passive. It was prophetic. You weren't retreating. You were recalibrating, because the most dangerous move you'll ever make isn't yelling back, it's pulling back. When you stopped explaining yourself, you robbed them of their script. When you stopped reacting, you shattered the control they thought they had. Your silence became a signal, one they couldn't decode, one that said, "You're not worth my energy anymore." And that's what broke them, not the argument, not the confrontation, but the fact that your silence made them face their own reflection. Without your energy to feed on, they crumbled under their own weight. Now they're replaying your stillness like it was a scream, because chosen ones don't need noise to be heard. They shift atmospheres by simply not showing up. This is why the law of return hits harder when you say nothing, because silence echoes where chaos once lived. And that echo, it reminds them that while they were scheming, you were healing and evolving. So next time you're tempted to react, remember, the loudest move is to say nothing and let karma do the talking. Number 4. Let it all fall apart. What feels like breakdown is actually a hidden upgrade in motion. Let them call it a breakdown. Let them whisper like your silence is defeat. But here's the truth they'll never have the vision to see. Chosen ones don't fall apart. We shed, we unlearn, we recalibrate in silence. What looks like collapse to the outside world is actually divine code rewriting itself inside you. You were never falling, You were being freed from every false version of yourself they tried to trap you in. You stopped showing up for chaos. You stopped entertaining energy that drained you, and suddenly they labeled it as weakness. They called your stillness a shutdown. But if only they knew. Upgrades never announce themselves. Systems go dark before they come back online, stronger, faster, untouchable. The same ones who laughed at your pause are about to witness the reintroduction of a version of you they'll never be allowed near again. You weren't built to live small, so when life starts dismantling comfort zones and stripping away familiar routines, don't panic. That's not destruction, that's divine renovation. Something had to break so that something stronger could rise. You're not breaking down, you're breaking through. So let it fall. Let the old structures crack. Let the false friendships fade. Let the masks rot. Because what's being built in the rubble is sacred. And when you come out of this season, they won't even recognize the energy. Stay low, stay focused, and let the law of return deal with what tried to bury you. You're not done. You're in motion. And elevation always starts with demolition. Number 5. Don't give them the drama. The real revenge is the peace that drowns their games. They baited you with chaos because that's the only language they speak. They thrive off reaction. They feed off your fire, not because they're strong, but because they can't create light on their own. They wanted you to lose it, to spiral, to snap. They hoped your anger would validate their lies, your tears would justify their betrayal, but instead, you went silent. You stopped explaining. You stopped defending. You stopped showing up to battles that were beneath your frequency. And that, chosen one, is what's tearing them apart. You see, your peace is not passive. It's lethal. It exposes everything frantic around you. The louder they get, the calmer you become. That stillness, that's what's making them unravel. They don't know how to play a game where you refuse to pick up the pieces. They've never met someone who doesn't flinch at manipulation, who doesn't fall for emotional traps, who can't be shaken by gossip and gaslighting. You didn't lose control, you chose it. And in that choice, you reclaimed every bit of your power. Let them throw their tantrums. Let them tell half-truths in circles that don't matter. Let them watch in confusion as you rise without retaliation. Because the cruelest revenge isn't rage. It's peace so deep it drowns every lie they ever told in silence they can't decode. Number 6. Stop hiding the scars. They're not flaws. They're receipts for the hell you walked through. Chosen one, the world sees your calm and assumes you were born with it. But what they don't see is the storm you survived to earn that peace. They compliment your strength, but they have no idea how many times you fell apart behind closed doors and stitched yourself back together in silence. You weren't just hurt, you were shattered, and still you showed up. Still, you walked through fire and came out with the flames bowing to your footsteps. Your scars. They're not weaknesses. They're proof. Proof that you endured what would have crushed most. They're receipts for pain paid in full. Every wound, every betrayal, every night you cried alone. That was the cost. And now your strength walks in rooms before you do, wearing those scars like armor. Let them wonder how you got here. Let them stare. Because if they knew what you had to walk through just to breathe, they'd choke on their judgment. You don't owe anyone a polished version of your past. You owe yourself the truth, the raw, gritty, unapologetic truth that says, I made it, not untouched, but undefeated. So stop hiding the evidence. Let the scars speak. Let them scream survival. Because when the law of return kicks in, those who mocked your pain will have to witness the power it birthed, and they won't be able to look away. Number 7. Stay silent while they celebrate. The tables are already turning in ways they can't escape. They laughed too soon, didn't they? thought your silence meant you lost, thought your stillness was surrender. But you, chosen one, were never pausing in defeat. You were preparing in divine precision. While they were busy clinking glasses, posting subtle jabs, and throwing shade dressed as humor, the very ground beneath their ego was already shifting. You knew better than to announce your next move. That's what separates the chosen from the crowd. While they crave attention, you crave alignment. And that difference, that's what makes your silence dangerous. They thought they won something by excluding you, mocking you, underestimating you. But what they didn't see is that tables don't turn when you fight back. They turn when you stop feeding the performance. When you remove your energy, the show loses its spotlight. And now, as you sit quiet, they feel it. The air changing, the momentum shifting, the illusions unraveling, one by one. The return isn't loud, it's not even fast, but it's certain. And when it lands, it doesn't ask for permission. It just corrects what was twisted. So stay silent, let them dance, let them think it's over, because when the flip hits, and oh, it will, you'll be too elevated to hear their confusion. This isn't a breakdown, it's a countdown, and you, chosen one, are the storm they never saw coming. Number 8. Don't rush the bloom. You weren't buried, you were planted to rise when the timing hits right. Chosen one, stop panicking over the pause. Stop assuming the silence means failure. You weren't left behind. You were hidden, protected, planted. The soil around you wasn't your prison, it was your preparation. But the ones watching from the surface, they thought it was over for you. They assumed you faded out because they couldn't see the movement beneath. What they don't realize is that every root takes hold before a single stem breaks through. See, real power doesn't announce itself prematurely. Flowers don't bloom because they're in a rush. They bloom when they've absorbed enough. Enough darkness, enough stillness, enough heat. That's you. You've been absorbing everything, the pain, the betrayal, the silence, the lessons. And while they were busy watching for your downfall, you were deepening, quietly, strategically, spiritually. They thought they buried you, but they misread the process. Because when the bloom hits, it's going to be undeniable. And it won't be soft petals, it'll be rooted glory. The kind that makes people question how you survived. The kind that makes liars silent. The kind that can't be copied because it wasn't built in sunlight. It was born in shadow. So don't rush this. Don't compare timelines. Don't try to match noise with noise. Your growth was never meant to be loud. It was meant to be lasting. And when your timing hits, not only will you rise, you'll rise in a way that makes everyone who doubted you wish they had looked deeper. Number 9. Let go of the pain story. Your scars are evidence that healing won, not hurt. Chosen one, there comes a time when even the deepest wound becomes your witness. Not to the pain that caused it, but to the power that overcame it. And that time is now. The world keeps trying to define you by what broke you. But here's the twist. You're not standing today because of what hurt you. You're standing because healing had the final word. Your scars aren't signs of defeat. They're proof of dominion. They whisper, yes, it happened, but it didn't finish me. That betrayal didn't bury you, it built you. That silence didn't silence you, it sharpened you. That loss didn't steal your future, it rerouted you to a version of you that's untouchable now. See, those who attacked you wanted the story to end with your suffering, but every time they check back, expecting collapse, all they see is glow, peace, presence, and that's what haunts them. You weren't supposed to rise. Not like this, not this quiet, not this strong, not this healed. So stop repeating their version of your story. You're not the wound. You're the walking proof that recovery is real. Let go of their narrative. Step fully into the return, because you're no longer defined by what happened. You're defined by how you rose from it. Your scars, they don't beg for sympathy, they command respect. You are not broken, you are branded by resilience, by grace, by the kind of transformation only chosen ones survive. Number 10. Don't beg to be understood. You weren't made to fit in, you were built to redeem the blueprint. They won't get it, and they're not supposed to. Stop wasting your breath trying to explain depth to people who only skim the surface. You weren't designed to be digestible, you were crafted to be disruptive. And that disruption, it's divine. You were never meant to be the echo in a room full of noise. You were built to be the voice that silences the nonsense, the blueprint that exposes the flaws in everything fake and familiar. When you're chosen, misunderstanding becomes a guarantee. They'll call you arrogant for having boundaries. They'll label your clarity as rebellion. But that's only because your presence reminds them of the truth they buried. They try to box you in because your freedom makes their chains uncomfortable. But let me tell you this, you didn't come here to earn their approval. You came here to break patterns. You came here to redeem everything that was corrupted before you arrived. So no, you're not here to fit in. You're here to rewrite what they thought was set in stone. You're the glitch in their system, the proof that silence can carry thunder, that healing can look like distance, that not explaining yourself can be the most powerful move of all. And when the law of return finishes its cycle, the very people who doubted you will realize what they mocked was the instruction manual they needed all along. You weren't made to be understood. You were built to be remembered as the one who turned pain into purpose, silence into power, and rejection into reign. Number 11. Stop waiting for permission. You're not in a comeback, you're in a coronation. Walk like it. Chosen one, too many people still think you're recovering, still think you're rebuilding, still think you're trying to get back to where you were before the storm. But what they fail to realize is, you're not returning to anything. You're stepping into something greater. This is not a comeback. This is a coronation. And no, not everyone gets the invite. You weren't just healing, you were being crowned in silence. Every setback was a tailor's measurement. Every betrayal, a brick in the throne you didn't have to build with your hands because your scars did the architecture. And while others waited for applause, you built in silence, bled in silence, grew in silence, until now. You don't need validation to walk in your power. You don't need confirmation to own your lane. You don't even need acceptance from people who can't comprehend the weight of your journey. What you carry, it's not light, it's legacy. You're not coming back to prove something. You're stepping forward to claim something. Something that was always meant for you. So stop dimming, stop shrinking, stop asking for room. You are the room, you are the headline, you are the throne they never saw coming. This isn't a revenge tour, this is a legacy launch. Walk like the crown is already on your head, because spiritually it is. Number 12. Don't fear the shift. The return has already begun, and the old you won't be recognizable. Chosen one, you can feel it, can't you? That silent shift pulling you away from everything familiar. But this time, don't fear the discomfort. Don't run from the unraveling, because what's happening isn't destruction, it's replacement. The return has already begun, and it's not just rearranging your life, it's rebuilding you from the ground up. They thought they knew you, the old version, the one that tolerated, explained, overgave, and played small just to keep peace. But that version already expired. You're not going back to who you were, because who you were wasn't equipped to walk into what's coming. That softness they mistook for weakness, it was restraint. That silence they labeled surrender. It was recalibration. Now you're stepping into a frequency where the old rules don't apply and the old you can't survive. Let them talk, let them assume. Let them rehearse the past while you embody the evolution. They won't recognize you because you're not showing up to be familiar. You're showing up to be unshakable. The same hands they used to pull you down won't even know how to hold you anymore. Not because you've become arrogant, but because you've become untouchable. This is the return, not just of power, but of identity. The shedding, the silence, the confusion. It was all preparation for a version of you that doesn't need permission, validation, or proximity. They thought they could hold you in history, but history is already erasing their relevance. So as this shift continues to unfold, remember this: you're not watching your life fall apart. You're witnessing your old limits being torn down. This is the part where everything they said you'd never become starts becoming undeniable. You're not returning as the version they tried to destroy. You're arriving as the version they can't access. If this spoke to your spirit, like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're building a space where chosen ones rise not just to be seen, but to remember who they've always been. And trust me, the return has only just begun.